Y'all, it's your boy eBay Fight Predictions in the building. I'll be breaking down Aljamain Sterling versus Petr Yan to the rematch, the most anticipated bantamweight title fight of the year. I cannot wait for it. It's a great fight. The co-main event of UFC 273. Obviously, y'all do subscribe before the breakdown. Like, comment, share the video. Also, follow my Twitter and my Instagram. All those links will be down below in the description box. Let's get this eBay Fight Prediction Nation growing. But yeah, great fucking fight, man. The story of this fight runs deep, man. It runs deep, man. This is insanity, bro. This fight really does remind me, if you're a little, pro wrestling nerd, is Bret Hart versus Steve Austin, man. And to be fair to Aljamain, if you go back in the history, Aljamain was the hero. He was the workhorse. He was the guy that was getting screwed. And Petr Yan was the guy that was almost the pampered, prospect from Russia, right? From Siberia, or, wherever he's from. But, he was the guy that they were like, oh my God, this is the guy. But they kind of gave him a little bit of an easy kind of, I don't want to say easy, but if I'm being 100% honest, it was a lot easier road to the title for Yan than it was for Mr. Aljamain Sterling. And it's such an interesting fight. It really is. And the first time I broke it down, I feel like I'm not going to go as hard as I did. I'm not going to go like a 5-5 film study. I just really... when I do my film studies on Twitter or IG, you'll see like a bunch of clips, but that's like from like last year, right, that I did. So I'm not going to really add it in this video. I really just want to talk about, the Aljamain Sterling fight with Yan, the first fight. And then maybe I'll add the Corey Sandhagen fight with Yan. So, but back to that, or back to this video, actually. Yeah, he was the guy. He was a nice guy. And, people were really rooting for Aljamain. If you remember, there was times where they were thinking about doing Marlon Rice versus Yan for the belt. If you remember, Marlon was going to fight Corey Sandhagen. And I feel like this was in June or August, in that kind of area. It was in the summer. I know it was Fight Island. I know it was in the summer. I know that for sure. And there was this real talk about, Aljamain losing his title shot after defeating Corey Sandhagen. And obviously Yan had beat Uriah, and then he beat Aldo and got the belt. And it seemed like he was getting screwed. And his son and Corey Sandhagen got it done over Marlon Rice, who was going to fight for the belt if he did beat Corey. And Aljamain ended up getting the opportunity. And there was just this rush of Aljamain support, Aljamain sympathy. Everyone was like, man, let's fucking go, Aljo. Go beat this overrated Russian. And I like Aljo. I've always liked Aljo. I hope people don't feel like I hate Aljo. But Yan is the truth. I'm just being honest. Like, I don't really boost up a lot of Russian fighters. You go watch my Khamzat Chimaev video versus Gilbert Burns. I went in and, I didn't go in, but you can tell I'm not the biggest fan of Mr. Khamzat Chimaev, as the great Kobe Covington likes to say. But Yan, I always knew that this guy was legit. If you watch his Magomedov fights, you'll know he was legit. He had good takedown defense, and he can box. He can strike. It's just not his boxing that he's great. Like, his kicks are phenomenal. Everything he does in there are great. His trips. He doesn't have necessarily a double leg in the UFC, but if you watch some of his older fights, he'll shoot for a double, get big double legs. He got one on Magomedov and fucking threw him to the other side of the octagon. But back to this fight, there was just this thing about Yan. I just knew this guy was great. And everyone just was, at the time, people didn't respect Aldo. They kind of was like, oh, he got a free title shot. He's not really good. Now look at Aldo now. He's at the top of the division, beating all these other bantamweight contenders, right? And now you got to respect him, right? But before, they weren't giving Aldo his respect. Some people really thought he beat or he lost to Marlon Rice. To this day, I'll never understand that. Like, I've always been confused by that decision. But back to the fight again. They get to the fight, right? Both of those key factors are playing, and there was just weird sympathy thing for Aljo. We're like, oh, I want to see him win the belt. I want to see him. And there was this weird, almost attack on Yan being a fraud, being an undercover fraud, right? Undercover bum, as I like to say, right? And I just never, for the life of me, understood why people felt like Jan was an undercover kind of fraud, or, I understand he was undeserving, but he's not bad. He was never bad. I never understood that, and that's the thing. It was like almost like, the Bret Hart thing, right? And Bret Hart was the workhorse guy. He was always working hard, right? And Steve Austin just came out of nowhere, just all crazy, this and that, wins the King of the Ring, and he gets in there, and then they meet up, right? And then they do the double turn, right? Austin ends up being the good guy, and Bret ends up being the bad guy, and that's what we saw in the fight with Aljamain and Jan, man. And it really became a situation of after that fight, Aljamain has become the bad guy and Jan has become the good guy. And obviously Jan just gave us a banger in his last fight against Corey Sandhagen, so it's kind of hard to hate on him. But let me get to the stats though before I talk about the fight and a little more of the story. Obviously, Aljamain is the champion of the world. He comes with a record of 20-3. He's fighting out of New York, I think. I don't know if I know he trains with Eric Nixon in Vegas, but I've been noticing he's been doing most of his camp at that Cerro Longo place. Height of 5'7", I reached 71. Obviously, Petr Yan, the number 1 bantamweight in the world, also the interim champion. 16-2. Crazy. Those 2 losses are either because of illegal blows. It's insane. It's just fucking nuts. It's fighting out of Thailand, actually. He did most of his camp in Tiger Muay Thai. Age 29, a height of 5'7", so basically the same height, and a reach of 67. So the same factors of the first fight. Aljamain comes with a 4-inch reach advantage. Does he know how to use it though? Right? And we'll talk about that. Obviously, these guys met up, right? And I feel like if you want me to talk, actually let me talk about that. If you really want me to talk about what happened with their last 5 fights, I implore you, go check out my first breakdown. If you already saw it, then you already know how I feel. I bumped up this fight the first time. I really did. I was like, I feel like I helped with the promotion a little bit. I was going hard for this fight. I was like, this is must-see TV, and I felt like this fight was gonna be like Moreno versus Figueiredo 1. It's just gonna be an all-star classic, and I didn't feel like we got that. I felt like it was a good fight, but I felt like I just saw the decline of one fighter and the rise of another. You know what I'm saying? Like in terms of the fight, stamina wise, just momentum wise, everything wise, right? I just felt like those kind of fights are just very clear and clear cut, and it was very clear that it was going Jan's way. In Moreno Figgy, it was like you did not know who was like. It was back and forth. It was really back and forth. Fucking Moreno comes back in that 4th round, surprises everyone, rocks, Figueiredo, and then Figueiredo fucking ends it with a goddamn crazy slam on the head in the 5th round. The last 30 seconds. I've watched that fight a million times. I have never got bored of it. This is not a boring fight, but we'll talk about it. Both guys, they end up squaring up at each other, and it was dope, man. I mean, the anticipation for this fight, UFC 259 had a lot of title fights, and had a lot of great fights, but this was the fight that, to me, I had goosebumps. None of them I had goosebumps. I had a little bit of goosebumps for Jan Blachowicz to go take care of the little titty boy, but but yeah, this one I had a lot of goosebumps. They get in front of each other, and then Aljamain, he did his thing. He landed some great shots. He had he was a high volume fighter, and obviously we've seen this in Jan's career. He's very low output sometimes in the first 2 rounds because he's building. He's kind of finding you out, making reads, right, figuring out your patterns, seeing what kind of combos you do. Let's see how well you do, and just trying to find the holes, right. And Aljo and landed 2 good knees, 2 flush knees, man. And that's the thing about Aljamain. He's very, for a grappler, he has a legit skill set in the striking. He can move his head real well, throws combination punching, decent cardio, decent output. He got tired though, but in a 3-round fight, he has good cardio. And he has good long striking. He's a longer guy, and he knows how to use his reach, and his kicks are good. He uses his straight punch. I give him his credit. He was outworking Jan in certain positions. When I rewatched this fight, it was a lot more competitive than I remembered, right? So it was funny when I was rewatching. I was like, oh man, this fucking actor boy did a lot better. Mr. Leonardo DiCaprio did his thing. But he did get a takedown in that round, and I thought he was on his way to winning that first round, but I couldn't give it to him. There was too many slips, and Jan got some of his own takedowns, and also I don't really call him trips, more or less him catching the body kick and throwing him up there, and then he got that knockdown in the end of the round, and I felt like it sealed the deal for Jan. In the second round, I felt like Aljo won. I felt like Aljo won that. It was competitive. He did his thing. He was able to clinch him. Output-wise was good. He didn't get no takedowns, but I thought Jan was a little low output in that round, and he didn't really do much. So, yeah, I ended up giving that round to Aljo. And then in that third round, it was, again, fucking Jan gave him a wrestling class. It was insane. You had the grappler Aljamain getting out-grappled by Jan, and you could say it was the striker at Aljamain out-striking Jan, and I didn't see it that way. I see it more like, Aljo has a very weird style, and I felt like Jan was more or less deciphering that style and just letting him throw his stuff so he can end up hurting him with bigger shots. But yeah, I thought Aljamain did decent in that round, but I had to give it to Jan. He was breaking him, and getting those takedowns were really, really good for him. And then especially in that fourth round, oh my fucking god, he lit him up. There was a moment where he hits a fucking knee, right, and then hits a 2-3. In mid combination, it was so clean. Like, Jan is so clean in there, and he got some few more takedowns in that round, and then we saw what happened. Right, he ended up hitting that illegal knee, and then we saw Leonardo come out, and Aljamain Sterling, and he auditioned for his Oscar. It was wrong that Jan did that, but man, I've never, I've been hurt before. I've been injured before. I wrestled before, so I understand injuries are real. And I'm not saying everyone has to be Mr. Anthony Smith. I'm not saying that, but you don't have to be like you don't gotta do all that. And he did all of that, and it was the biggest shame I've ever seen in my life. Aljamain lost so much respect that day. It was insane. He really did a double turn, and I was just in shock. I was like, what is he doing? He literally threw his career away. But I didn't know they were gonna give him the belt. I had the commentary close, so when they held these guys up, right, I turned on the commentary midway before they wrapped around the belt, and I heard Joe Rogan saying, "Oh, Aljo would never want to win this way." I'm like, "Win? What you mean win? Win?" And then they strapped the. If you go see my reaction, I'll even post a link there. When they give him the belt, I was like, "What?" To this day, it's literally the most hysterical thing I've ever seen. He will go down in history as a very, very special class of champion that is so undeserving. I have never seen this in my life, y'all. I don't want to disrespect Aljo. I don't. And I feel like if you want to see a more respectful version of this breakdown, go check out my first, what's it called? The first fight I broke down of these two. You go if you're an Aljamain fan. But if you're an Aljamain fan, I'm sorry, your boy is a clown. I like him. I used to really like him. He was my guy. I really rooted for him hard when he fought Corey Sanders. I was hella happy when he whooped that fucking geography teacher. Right? I got nothing against Corey, but that's how I feel sometimes about the guy. But it was insane. And then Aljamain, he really, when they did the double turn, basically, it went from heel to face. Oh my God, he lived up that heel roll. Oh my God. Even, before I show you guys clips of that, let me talk about actually something that was really puzzling to me. there was a stat where it showed I think 27 strikes for Aljamain in the first round, and then 27 significant strikes for Jan in the third round. Like, look at what Jan does, like, in between that fight. It was insane. Like, it was something that just popped up in my head, like, I kind of just mid-thought. But it's crazy how this guy is able to do nothing in the first round and just go nuts in those, you know, fourth and fifth rounds, or even the third round. But, yeah, Aljamain started making clips. He started talking crazy. Like, you know... I'll put, you know, some of those little funny clips there in a little post, but and you guys can go enjoy it and see how this man is delusional, and him explaining what happened. And it's like, he basically admitted he was acting. Like go watch this clip. He basically admitted, he tried to say, no, I was really hurt, and then he basically admits in this clip that he was acting, because I never knew if I was going to get another title shot again. And I get it. I do get where he was coming from. Because he felt screwed. Like I said before, they were going to screw him when Corey fought Marlon Rice. They were going to give Marlon a title shot, an undeserving title shot, by the way, over a guy that's been, I think, was on a 5-fight win streak, rebuilt himself, and deserved a title. You know what I'm saying? Like a title shot, not a title, but a title shot. And they were going to give it to the guy that just, you know, lost in a title fight against Udo and had a controversial win over Jose Aldo. And let's say he beats Corey Sandhagen, right? Still not unfair. That's still unfair, right? And he made that decision. And I'm not saying he's wrong for that, but don't act like he didn't act then. Okay? Like, you are Leonardo DiCaprio, bro. And I feel like that's disrespectful to Leonardo. Like, he probably has been seeing it on his mentions that he keeps getting brought up in some weird MMA Twitter action. Maybe he doesn't see it, but still, like, in respect to the GOAT that made Wolf on Wall Street, you know what I'm saying? One of my favorite movies of all time, right? I'm just saying, you were acting, Aljo. You were acting. like, you acted. Like, I'm sorry. But yeah. You go enjoy this.
How much time do I have? Because I want to try to continue. Now, in this moment, I'm thinking a whole bunch of things that are going through my head. Dana's not going to give me another shot at the title. The fight's going to be a no contest. Dana's going to say he was losing that fight in that fourth round, so why should we use him again? We already know that fight, with the direction that the fight was heading in, so we're going to move on from this. These are all the thoughts going through my head, and I'm never going to get the opportunity again. I'm going to have to win 3 or 4 more fights to get back to this position to ever challenge for a world title again. So those thoughts were going through my head, not, I'm going to become world champion. No, this is crazy. I didn't even think I was getting this. I didn't even want this. But then coming home, like I said, all my friends and family seeing me, they knew I had this. They took it out of the bag for me. Had me put on my shoulders and wanted me to take pictures and wanted me to be proud of my performance because of the way I've carried myself.
And then, yeah, right? So after all this talk, they were actually scheduled to fight in Abu Dhabi, Glover Teixeira versus Jan Blachowicz. Aljo did what Aljo did best. He pulled out. No, he had a real neck injury, and a severe one that, I mean, I don't know what happened. It might end his career, but yeah, we're going to see what kind of guy he is. There's a lot of questions about Aljamain coming into this fight. But then Jan ended up fighting Corey, and it was a close fight. The geography teacher, he did his thing. I'll give the guy his respect. I don't want to be too mean to him, but I enjoyed it. He got dropped in that third round. He did get a takedown, though. I will give him that. He did get a takedown in that fourth round. I didn't like Jan giving up takedowns to that guy. But then, yeah, and then Jan ended up hitting that spinning heel kick in the fifth round. And then Corey goes for his fucking, flying knee. One of the, most underrated fight of the year. Probably one of the most technical bantamweight fights of all time. Like, title fights, like, you got obviously Dominic Cruz versus TJ Dillashaw, which I fucking love, but it's more for the story aspect and him coming back from the injury that I love about that fight. But this one was great, and then Jan really stamped himself as the people's champ, man. Everyone claimed him. He's my champ, I'll say that, and I'm pretty sure anyone with a brain will know that's your champ right there. That's a man that will fight anybody as champ. He ain't scared, and he's good enough to be an all-time great in the class of a George St. Pierre, John Jones, I might have to say it. You know what? I'll just say Henry Cejudo. I was about to say Mr. Mighty Mouse, but I forget that. I don't get me started on Demetrius. But yeah, you know, he did his thing there, and now we're here. We're here for this fight. So yeah, that's pretty much my breakdown. I don't know. I don't know if this is gonna be a great fight. I don't know. I'm taking Jan by. I'm taking Jan by decision. I'm gonna take Jan by decision because I remember when I hyped this fight up to be all-time great fight of the year. It didn't end up being that good. And I won a great fight. You won excitement, right? That's what really makes me mad at Aljo. He didn't bring his part to the fight. All right, you didn't bring your A game, and that's why you got treated like a hoe in there. I hope by me downplaying Aljo, by me saying this fight's not, it's like it's Jan's fight to win, 100% Jan, you know, lock of the card, whatever. He brings it and he proves me wrong, and he gives a great performance. I still think he's gonna lose, but if you put on a good showing for yourself, then I don't hate Aljo. I'd like to be a fan of him, but he makes it hard, and I want to start being a fan of him again. He just got to give that belt back to the champ, right? You know, that's my guy. I like Aljo. I obviously I never said it, you know, because I didn't have a YouTube channel when he was still as a kid. But I like the kid. He's a good kid, but he not meant for the belt. And I'm sorry, some people not meant for the belt, y'all. Right? So hopefully by me downplaying, they give us a great fight. But and you know what? I think we're gonna get a great fight. I think these guys are gonna fucking blow the house off the roof. So it's like, you know, I think we're gonna get a classic. But I could see Jan smashing him in less than 3 rounds. But I'm gonna take Jan. Actually, I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna say 5th round TKO. And that's the story of this fight, and it's always been like this. And I said it the first time I was talking about it. Jan is the undeserving, the privileged fighter that is great. And Aljamain is the workhorse fighter that clawed and scratched for everything he wanted for. You know, that is also great. But sometimes when great meets great, the greater fighter wins, right? So, and I think Jan is the greater fighter out of the two. They're both great. I see Jan being more productive with his takedown defense and his boxing and his output in those later rounds and breaking Aljamain. For Aljamain, what's my advice for him? Obviously, you know, I talked about it in the first video, the first part, is the Magomed fight. You have to watch the first Magomedov fight. Obviously, I know some people felt like Jan still won that fight. Some people feel like Jan won both. Obviously, he won the second one, but in the first fight, Magomed used very high explosive takedowns and control. That is a big word I'm saying to Aljo. Control. Keep him down. All right, Aljo, you have to keep him down. Aljo, and conserve your energy too. Magomed, even though he was tired, he conserved his energy, right? And didn't blast it out of the fucking water like fucking Aljamain did in those first 2 rounds, right? You know, Aljo, I remember, I'll never forget, Aljo went for this 10-punch combination just going nuts in that 4th round, and it was like, what the hell is going on here? But Aljo, you just need to conserve your energy, get those takedowns, you know, and control. Position over submission, and when the submission comes, take it. But that'd be my advice to Aljo, and that's a path I can see him winning. But I just don't see it. I just don't see it happening. I think Jan wins this fight no matter what, and that's why I have Jan as in my thumbnail, because that's how confident I am in him to go get this done and get his belt back. But hopefully we get a great fight. That's all you can really hope, we get a great fight. But yeah, I'm taking Jan by 5th round TKO like I did the first time. So yeah, hopefully we get a banger. Hopefully maybe the Aljamain hate can stop. But love y'all. Hey, goodbye. It's your boy eBay, and I'm out of here. See ya.
How you do this one?
Как
You know
ты
what I
делаешь,
would do?
говорит?
Yeah, the one
Подсечку,
you did,
подсечку.
3-4 times?
Dan Hardy broke it down on his breakdown.
It's street style, bro.
Fuck, man.
Damn.
Fucking cut this guy, man.
It's no wrestling. It's street style.
That's not street style.
Talk about that fucker, eh?
You see this feet? Damn. feet too square, man.
Street style.
Show me Dillashaw. Please show
Покажи
me.
Дилашо, как
How
работает.
we fight? You show me.
I show you when my fight, I show you.
You fight like Dillashaw?
Не-не, как Дилашо дерется, покажи, говорит.
You want show?
Yeah, how Dillashaw fight?
Syrian boy.
Look at this shit.